What is happening, traders? How are we doing, guys? God bless each and every single one of you. Hope you having a stand-up freaking day. Today, we're going to be covering stock ticker AMC as well as GameStop and the broader market. So make sure to see the full length of the video as we update you guys on our thesis from yesterday, our live stream. Thank you to everyone who was in there. And today for AMC, seen a little bit of a peaky weeky on the charts, going down 7% on the day, seeing some elevated volatility from earnings as you had the best earnings in the entire company's history. I do see right now you're kind of treading right on top of this uptrend here, this upsloping area of support, and you do have, traders, this downtrend in volume ever since you saw that rejection at 260. Now, why did we reject at 260? We're going to get to that in just 1 second, as well as where I think this thing's going to go towards the end of the day, as well as going into tomorrow. So if you guys are new, right, you enjoy the passion, slap the subscribe button and punch the like button. And let's get straight into the DD, right? The due diligence. Adam freaking Aaron posting on Twitter. Sorry, I'm burping up some of this sparkling water. Posting on Twitter the day after, right? Continuing to tweet on Twitter the day after. It was such a distinct pleasure. So immensely satisfying to be able to report to you yesterday that our second quarter of 2026 with 321.4 million adjusted EBITDA was the single best quarterly result in AMC's entire 106-year history. With 71 million guests in our theaters, we also had highest revenues in AMC's history and managed our costs well. We have generated 228 million in EBITDA for the first half of 2026 than we did last year in the first half, right? So the year over year is out freaking standing. We finished the quarter with 778 million of cash on hand. The best way to silence the critics and make sure the naysayers are relevant is to produce undeniably good results. In this case, for quarter two, record results. And that is precisely what AMC has been doing throughout 2026. To those apes who stood by us along the way, and especially all those who are still with us, I'm not exaggerating in saluting the role you all played in saving the moviegoing and saving the movie theaters and saving AMC. Because of your support, your children, your grandchildren should be able to enjoy in theaters seeing dazzling images on our huge silver screens, just as people have done to the great delight for many more than a century. So him kind of punching back, right, at the short sellers, saying, hey, it's because of you that we are in this position. And you can see, guys, just from the volume alone, this thing had the most volume since the squeeze of 2024 when Roy and Kitty came back. And on the daily time frame, 186.7 million shares were traded, right? That is the kind of breakout volume that you needed to not only confirm your golden cross on the daily time frame. I'm looking at EMAs, not moving averages, so forgive me if it's not showing right now. That's just how I prefer to trade. But also, guys, looking at shout out to AMC Ape, aka Robert Lindolf, Absolute G, saying roll call in your brokerage. How many people are watching AMC, right? It shows Stock Twit over 480,000 users tracking AMC. Weeble, 2+ million users have added AMC to the watch list. eToro through 30,000. And that is just the beginning, guys. So I know we said in our last video, and many videos before it, as soon as AMC sees a follow through from the golden cross and gets your quarterly MACD to cross upwards, all eyes will be on this thing again. You're starting to see a shift in momentum and you're starting to see retail come back to the game, right? This is what I think is interesting for the stock, and I think the volume reflects that. Now, looking at the daily time frame, you're putting in a little bit of a rejection candle off of this upsloping resistance. This is something where I posted about, and I expected to see resistance here. Kind of disappointing to see it happen right now, but it's not surprising in the least, guys. So from that rejection, your new mission, right, You look at the 30-minute, you're starting to get a little bit of a bounce here, potentially off of this uptrend. If you don't, though, there is still the max bullish case scenario in which you cruise on low volume, right? A descending volume trend into our previous resistance of 222. You absolutely smoked the short thesis on this earnings. So I do expect a retest of your previous resistance here, guys, and a nice launch of support on AMC. So that's what we're watching for the shorter term time frame, potentially today or tomorrow, right? Because if I go to the 4-hour, the more I zoom out, the more I see, right, you rejected this perfect resistance sloping upwards. Perfect rejection there. And then you zoom in. Where have you found significant support? It was resistance here, 222 to the penny, guys. Support, rejection, launch through, and this can now be your support pad as that horizontal resistance to then go and break this upsloping resistance, guys. And if you break that, all bets are off the table. This thing can go absolutely parabolic because you are in a 3 rising valleys formation. Valley 1, Valley 2, technically Valley 1, Valley 2, Valley 3, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. This thing should make a higher high above 304, but time will tell, traders. We will have to wait and see how this thing freaking executes off of this technical setup. The most, I would say, scary scenario, and something that we should all keep on our radars, right? Do your own due diligence, is if this was, in fact, some kind of, whoops, let's look at it on the daily time frame. Bam, there we go. If we were looking at this, right, this could be a technical rising wedge. If you continue to kind of ping pong along in here until you got to the top, there is that opportunity that this thing would see the breakdown. How likely is it? I think, in my opinion, absolutely unlikely as all get out. I do not see a reality in which this thing goes down to 130, but we have to prepare accordingly, right? Because even though the market is up pretty tremendously today, 1.18%, we should be prepared for, in case IWM, SPY, anything like that were to take a huge breather, right? Just an example, IWM has the weekly MACD curling down. Whether or not it's going to see that cross, we'll have to see. Today is a beautiful green day, so I think you may see another all-time high before that, right? But we should be prepared for freaking anything. Let's continue to do some due diligence on Amy, and just kind of preface this by saying I'm not a financial advisor, right? Do not take this as financial advice. But what matters to me the most is your weekly close this week. And let me tell you why, right? Zooming in here on the weekly time frame, deleting some of the lines, you are above the 50-day EMA on the weekly time frame. Look at where you are, right? A beautiful technical setup, and printing a inverted bullish hammer candlestick. Same one as last week, right? So you're back to back bullish candles, and you should see, it's only Tuesday, right? You should see this weekly volume candle print more than the previous top here. In my opinion, that is going to come with significant bullish momentum, and this is why, right? Even if you come back down to 205 to fill that daily gap, I do believe at some point you're going to do the opposite, right? Look at this very obvious volume gap here on the 30-minute. Now, this is your $2.73 gap on AMC, and I do think you're going to fill that at some point. So even if you cruise down to 205, that is a bad scenario for AMC, but it is possible, right? What you want to see is an immediate wick up, and then you hold the 50-day EMA. Look at the current price of that. 217 is the spot to hold for Amy, because if you see this 9 go through the 50 on the weekly time frame, traders, this thing can go absolutely bananas. And I'm not just saying that to get y'all excited. I said the same thing about the Golden Cross. I'm not just saying that to get y'all excited, right? Look at the last time you saw the 9 go through the 50. I'm going to zoom in here. It was May 21st of 2021, guys. That was through the 200. through the 50 was January 29th, 2021, traders. So if you were watching for a momentum sign, right, an indicator that it's going to execute, I think this is the one. This is the one that I'm watching pretty heavily to see, even though it's a lagging indicator, bullish momentum in your favor, right? You saw a 277% increase in price from that cross up, and then this thing continued to spiral upwards after the retest of it. And then you held above it. Every single candle closed above the 9 on the weekly until you got that cross to the 200, guys. The technical setup is there. It's much, much further away from AMC this time around, right? You're only about 10 cents away from a cross of the 9 through the 50. And that should come with a very large breakout, guys. But additionally, right, where is the macro 200 on the weekly? 1943. This is your opportunity if you want to see some kind of squeeze momentum here for this thing to blip up to 10, right? Anything is freaking possible in these markets, and I do not for a second put it past AMC to see some kind of macro move outside of a break of this all-time downtrend, right? Look at that perfect downtrend. Look at where you are, right? Look at where you are, guys. That would be the most important weekly development on AMC in the entire history of the stock, in my opinion, right? I am only a commentator. I do not give financial advice, but looking at this thing, I am seeing the exact same setup, the exact same correlation that I saw back in 2020 and 2021, right? Look at the quarterly MACD cross. And look at this bullish engulfing on the quarterly time frame. Look at the quarterly MACD cross and look at the bullish engulfing on the quarterly time frame. You're now in the process if you can see this momentum and the volume carry over, guys. So that's what I got for AMC. Some very, very exciting stuff as you look to challenge your all-time downtrend for the freaking stock. So no matter what the short term is doing, guys, I know we want to wait for the daily close today, but I just could not contain my excitement to bring this information to you guys. The quarterly results, absolutely amazing. The technical setup, absolutely amazing, but we need to see strength above 222, and I'd like to see, even if you dip back below to 205 at the daily gap fill, to wick off of it and close above that 50-day weekly EMA. So that's what we got for AMC, baby. An absolutely beautiful, beautiful day yesterday. So I want to say thank you to everyone who was in. Smack the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's start with some GameStop, baby. The can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. And of course, doing absolutely nothing. We knew that this thing was going to be absolutely illiquid. As you can see, the volume yesterday, only 3.9 million freaking shares. And the day before that, 2.6. So you are seeing some extreme slowing momentum in GameStop as you lose this uptrend and continue to trade below the 9-day EMA. It's been my belief that you either come down to retest this low at 21.53 or you cruise towards this new support downsloping right around the low 20s, right? 21.20 or 21.19, depending on where you tap it. That's kind of your technical setup on GameStop, to be honest. It's very, very liquid because you are waiting for some fundamental news from the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Cohen. And I still love this stock, right? I'm extremely bullish on the long-term trajectory of GameStop. We just need to see something develop on the charts, and it's going to kind of ping pong in this $22 to $20 level until you see that clarity, guys. Beyond that, you do have a very valid uptrend here that you made from the November to December lows. And if you see a more macro breakdown, expect a test of that, right? Right around 2066. That would be a prime area to potentially load up on some shares, calls, whatever you want. I know the IV for GameStop is the lowest it has been in a very, very long time. What is IV? IV is implied volatility. And what does that do for you? That means dirt cheap freaking options. So for GameStop, that would be an interesting opportunity. Of course, I don't really play options, so I'm not really getting my hands dirty. You guys do what you want to do your own DD. But that's kind of our technical setup for GameStop on the daily time frame. On the weekly time frame, you're seeing these two lips begin to expand a little bit more on the MACD. And you are close, right? The volume is in a very clear downtrend on the weekly time frame. Something's got to give, guys. Low IV, low volume. Weekly MACD is close, but you just have not seen any directive kind of move. So we wait for the fundamental thesis to play out. I like the stock. Let's get into IWM. Like we said, seeing a little bit of a bullish candle on the weekly time frame, bullish wick off of the 9-day EMA. Let's look at the daily time frame, seeing a beautiful move up 1.25% after a low volume close yesterday. Now you're seeing the week or the daily MACD begin to curl up, which is a good sign, but you have still, guys, not broken out of this very stubborn resistance. That is what we're waiting for, to see this thing absolutely move to the upside, potentially to a new all-time high past 300, right? 300 has been the mark. It's been our thesis since day freaking one that IWM will go on a run, and this will help bring back the risk on asset market and help liquidity flow back to stocks like GameStop, AMC, NEO, right? This has been our long-term thesis. And so this playing out just makes sense to me. And I'm absolutely grateful and jacked that you guys have been here every step of the ride. So that's kind of the IWM update. We can do GME warrants. That's GME Corp. Curious to see where the warrants are trading. And they're not doing too hot, right? And the reason that this is happening is because GameStop's so flat going into October. You need to see upside on GameStop, or you need to see some kind of clarity come from Ryan Cohen to extend this deadline. Nothing is a given. Nothing is promised. It is possible, and in my opinion, in the best interest of the GME shareholders for this to be extended past October, right? Because you're seeing this eBay acquisition take more time than we expected, even though you're slowly and steadily hostile takeover eBay's company. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with these warrants. Currently trading at 186. Still down. Weekly time frame. Let's see. Weekly time frame. The GME warrants are making me yawn over here, guys. Weekly time frame doing no better. Seeing a bearish engulfing candle down 11%. So not to end the video on such a negative note. Shout out to all the AMC, GameStop, apes, everyone who's supported this channel. As always, traders, God bless each and every single one of you, and I'll see you in the next video.